Hi, guys. Welcome to For Creators by Creators. We are a place for content creators, artists of any kind on any platform to come, to connect, to find actionable insights that they can leverage inside of their own career and really honestly help our peers get paid. My name is Jess. I'm your host. And today, as our second guest on this podcast, I'm very happy to introduce my friend, Erica Nagashima. Hello. Thank you for being here.
So nice to have myself here. It's very exciting to have myself here. Very happy to be here.
Yay.
And with you.
I
So exciting.
Shout out to the community if anybody's watching this.
Community.
So Erica is a multi-hyphenate creator, and she has been doing this for a very long time in many different formats. You have been a musician, a performer, a model. You are a Twitch streamer and a partner plus on Twitch even.
Mm-hmm.
And you have just been leveraging these platforms and tools for so long, and you kind of hacked, I think, the monetization game pretty early on. I want to hear how you started off. Like, when did you first start putting yourself online?
So obviously we all use social media like back in the day with MySpace and stuff. But for once I started actually professionally modeling back in technically my senior year of college, that was really when Instagram started kind of like taking off. So that was where I kind of started building a following or fan base or whatever you might call it, just through modeling specifically, since I was doing a lot of promotional modeling. So on the ground doing, Monster Energy and Formula Drifts and stuff like that. So I was able to build probably, I think at my highest on Instagram was about 175,000, which isn't that crazy in the grand scheme of things nowadays with millions of followers. But I feel like early on to have built any type of following to become like a content creator or to work with brands and stuff like that was a lot easier as opposed to now when you have to, you basically just get trade pieces of merch or something and you just don't get paid anything. So I was out like on the ground running on Instagram with like sponsored stuff like Skinny Bunny Tea.
Oh, the Skinny Bunny Tea.
You were there for my era.
I remember that. That was everywhere. They worked hard.
Everywhere, and they were like kind of some of the first people to be utilizing content creators like that, like influencers. So that was back when I didn't think too hard about what brands I aligned myself with, I will say. But I did drink that stuff. I don't know if you remember me drinking that, but I did.
I do. Our fridge, at one point in my life,
our pantry was full of that.
Was roommates with Erica, and we had quite a bit of the merch of all sorts.
Smelled great.
It did.
I will say. So I started with that, but of course, after a few years, again, algorithms change, and my content was changing as well. And definitely realized a decline in followers or growth specifically. Actually, like I went from 175, I'm currently at 154. So because I'm not keeping up with the algorithm, which is extraordinarily important, but I did pivot a lot of it to making content on Twitch, which is a long-form live streaming platform that is primarily known for gaming. So you watch people play video games. They might be really good at the video game. They might be terrible. I'm pretty much more on the terrible end.
Which is still really entertaining to watch.
Oh, yeah. When people fail, it's hilarious. I pivoted there because, one, I love gaming. I think that's so much fun. I used to do it with my sister when we were growing up, and I just enjoyed it. So I thought that would be a really great place for me to have fun and interact with people and maybe grow on a different platform, as well as hopefully do music, because I've studied music my whole life. I got my degree in opera from UC Santa Barbara. So music and gaming, I thought there would be a fun thing to do. And I don't think I knew too many content creators that were already doing that specific kind of combo. So I started streaming on Twitch end of January 2019, and then pandemic hit. And so I was very lucky to have already started monetizing on Twitch and making money. And once pandemic hit, I was basically full-time on Twitch, which was incredible because modeling was gone, just gone.
So we started with the traditional social media platforms, if you will, MySpace, Facebook, Instagram, etc.
Yeah.
You were doing the import modeling. You were doing a lot of different types of activations, brand partnerships, etc. And you were able to monetize that pretty early on. And when that dropped off, when that algorithm stopped serving you, and when the partnerships were no longer truly aligned with you, you made the switch to a completely different medium and platform and audience. What was it like to, well, I guess the first question is, what did that first era of your content creation teach you going into building a new audience again?
Aligning yourself with the brands correctly, I think that's really important, because people nowadays especially have become aware of those types of situations. And if you're not authentically interested in these products or brands, they can normally tell. Not always, but we're getting a little bit more aware of it. And also, if you're trying to build a community that trusts you and loves you, you want to make sure that you yourself like said products that you're working with and that you're supporting. So I think that's important. That's something that I kind of learned in my first Instagram kind of life. And Twitch has been interesting because, you know, growing a much more intimate community is something that I definitely didn't have on Instagram back then. I think nowadays, since you can do Instagram lives and do a lot more polls and stuff, you can kind of get a little bit more intimate with your viewers. But Twitch specifically is so, I talk to them every day, even when I'm not streaming live, you know, through Discord and everything. So you become kind of like a family, a community, a family. And you have to be aware of, you know, what you're saying and what you're putting out, right? Because they listen to you.
And so I have so many questions, but before we skip ahead too far, when we're still back in, let's say, Erika Nagashima 1.0, right? The brand partnerships and that kind of hustle. We know that in today's creator economy, it's really only maybe the top 1% that actually make the significant amount of money available. And even those ones are oftentimes having to juggle like multiple brand partnerships, multiple deals in order to actually have a way to make a living, right? And that's kind of the goal of this show, is we really want to create a community and a resource sharing opportunity where people can figure out, how can I make this my life? This is what I love to do. This feels right to me. I have the passion for it, but I really need to be able to make sure that I can protect my work and that I can get paid for my work. So looking back, would you have any advice for that Erika going into, you know, really navigating those waters for the first time about what choices to make and how to set yourself up for success?
Well, I think one thing that I'm still working on myself is that it's great to like reach out to companies. Like you have to be proactive about everything, and having like a deck about like your card with your rates and everything like that. Like that's super important, and that's the way to getting these sponsorships. With Twitch, it's nice nowadays because I can make money from like the donations and the subs and stuff. But of course, with Instagram, it's basically sponsors. You can make money from the reels nowadays if you're like that big of a creator, but the sponsorships are really important. So I think putting yourself out there is really the most important, and sometimes it's intimidating and you don't know where to start, but there's so many resources online to kind of handhold you and walk you through that. If I had known back then a little bit more, I would have been much more proactive about it.
So then now we're switching to pre-pandemic is when you started streaming on Twitch, but then pandemic is when you hit it. And I saw it firsthand, guys. Like, I was very impressed because you went from streaming a couple hours a day of video gaming to really creating a show, if you will. Like, you have singing Saturdays and what was it, WoW Wednesdays, where you'd play World of Warcraft with your mother, which your community loved. We all loved it. It was so good. Shout out to Mama Gashima. Hello. Thank you for creating this one. Thanks, so when you went to Twitch, one of the things that I think was so interesting to watch is that you didn't just go over there to have another channel to broadcast yourself. You taught yourself everything from building your very first gaming PC. What was that like? Like, how did you even get the idea to build a gaming PC?
Yeah, there is so much that goes into streaming. It's a lot to handle. So I like that I started really easy. My friend just said, okay, pull the trigger, like go do it. So just lent me a monitor and said, buy a PlayStation 4 camera and just set it up with your PS4 and just go. And it was so janky. So like if you ever see like one of my first clips to now, it's wild, the transition, right? But there's so much tech involved, especially with the music as well. But yeah, one of my first like fun streams, I flew up to San Jose and my friend helped me out like filming it, was building my first PC, which I really didn't know very much about. But yeah, you know, figuring out where the GPU goes and the CPU and all the RAM, and and cable management, which was actually trash. I did not do a good job with cable management. But who does? You know, it gets hidden in the back. It's fine. You don't see it. But that was a great experience. And since I built myself a new PC, I rebuilt that PC in most of those components into another PC and gave it to my mom. So when I stream at my parents' house, I get to stream from my old PC essentially, which is really fun. It's so awesome to be able to learn so much and like kind of be forced to learn so much about how to use OBS or or whatever program you might use for streaming, StreamElements, Streamlabs, XSplit, which I used at first and I hated. There's so much to learn and to work on, but it's a slow growth. Like you keep adding, you keep learning. So I think for anyone that wants to like start streaming or is starting really slow, like you'll get there eventually, one by one.
And I think that's something interesting based on what you just said is being willing to learn new things, new tools, new technologies, hardware, even if it's
so much hardware. One
of the questions I have based on what you just shared is, what would you say to somebody that feels as though they don't have the resources to just get all of that right away? Is it start with what you have and get gritty and then grow? Or is it
definitely start with what you have? Because if you wait until you have every piece of equipment to make it look exactly what you would like, well, one, you'll probably never be satisfied. You'll probably still want something more. But you'll never start. Like, it's better to start today. You might look back and be like, oh, that's so cringy. Like, look at how bad those clips were or whatever. But, like, start now. Like, there's no better time than the present.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's so many tools and technologies and platforms that we're seeing arise to make this a more turnkey experience. And yet still we're seeing that when it comes to being able to protect your content and being able to monetize your content, those tools and technologies sometimes still miss the mark, right? And I think that one of the unique things about your journey on Twitch, I've never seen this before, like I've seen it with yours because I've been on a few of your streams. You've developed this actual community of people that are connected first in your Twitch channel via the stream chat and then through Discord on off times. And it becomes this thing where they actually truly know you. Yeah. They really know your life. They really
I tell them
like,
too much.
They know your allergies. They know your like everything you're going through. They know. But what's really incredible, what I think you've done so well, is you know them. And I think that is it's not the most common thing for content creators to actually like by name. Now, granted, we're dealing with oftentimes like usernames, but when Erica starts a stream, she comes into the room and there's, 15, 25, 100 people in there already. She's naming them off and saying, hello, how was your like high school graduation? Did you finally get sleep last night? Like, how's your back doing? Like you're paying attention so closely. And at the same time, going back to the like setup situation and learning and teaching yourself in the midst of being in real time, you have like 3 screens, you have all of these different keyboards and tool sets that you use. You're also, while you're fine tuning all the technology, you are addressing every person so that when they come in, they know that you see them. And I think that creates this real sense of community that's valuable, right? And obviously, to your point on Twitch, a lot of the monetization comes from those people. But one of the downsides that we've seen to some of that kind of connection is that parasocial attachment, right? Where a viewer feels like they truly know you and have a relationship with you when maybe you have never actually even seen their face on video or anything, let alone met them in person. How do you navigate that, especially when that connection is attached to income?
It's tricky. It's tricky. I think a lot of times people will donate and expect stuff of you. People donate for a song. That's okay, right? Like it's
like a tip.
It's a tip. But the parasocial relationship thing has been tricky, and I don't know a single streamer that hasn't had some story or some issue with it. It is rough. You don't know what these people look like per se. Like you see a username, and sometimes they take things the wrong way and think you're interested in them or something, and kind of have these weird situations. I've gotten weird emails from someone from my stream, just thinking that they have an opportunity that I want to date them or something, and they didn't stick around very long. They weren't a long-standing community member, but like just like this kind of there's a little bit of delusion there for some people. But in general, my community is fantastic. The people that stick around and are there for long periods of time are fantastic. I have had some issues with a few longer term ones. Developing feelings or thinking we're closer than potentially in my mind we are. You have to shut it down. You can't allow that to get any further. But it's a very tricky ground to navigate. And I feel like it depends on the streamer how they want to approach it. I try and be as kind and cordial, but sometimes you have to like just be like,
set a boundary.
No.
Yeah. Kind of clear it up a little bit.
Yes.
And you mentioned mods. That's one of the unique elements specifically about Twitch is that you do have also these people that are willing to show up for your streams and really keep things kosher while you're doing your thing. And I've never seen mods ride or die the way that I've seen them do for Erica, for good reason. If you're like, let's say you're starting off as a Twitch streamer, how do you even find the kind of people to do that? Because I would imagine trying to do it yourself live is very challenging.
It is. I've been having, since I've been multi-streaming, I have to like sometimes mod myself because I don't have enough mods to stretch. But when you're first starting out, a lot of people, if people come in, some people are weird and are like, I'll be your mod. Mod me now. People just want the power there. Yeah. You need to make sure it's a friend. Like, honestly, if I was just starting out as a streamer and be like, hey, Jess, could you like pop in and like, if you see any weird comments, can you just delete them?
Yeah.
Like, just get a friend if you can, if they're willing. But eventually you can grow. And like, I've been able to find people that have been part of my community that I can trust. And I know that they're responsible and that they're not going to troll or, overstep or, they're going to listen to my boundaries and stuff. So that's important to like really vet your mods.
With this, so the community that you've built is called the community, right?
Yes.
We have very specific stream mascots and energy terminology. And it's just truly like, it's the most authentic community. And I love the way that they show up. One of the things that's in the vein of monetization, I've seen you be able to activate a stream, get people to show up with no notice for like just an Instagram story announcement, and suddenly we have a full room of people.
I know you were there for that one I think you're referring to.
Yeah. But then at the same time, what's really cool about you and about your community is that you've also turned that so often into a charitable stream, into a way to quickly. So for example, I've partnered with a nonprofit in the past that works to eliminate human trafficking in the world, and we've given your community maybe like an hour's notice that I'm in town and we're going to jump on a stream and we want to raise some money.
Yeah.
And I think this year we were on for like an hour and a half and raised a couple $1,000. Yeah. With people caring, they gave us the opportunity to not even have it be just a fun stream where we're, shooting the being whatever, but they let us actually like inform them about it. And does that ever really impact your income coming through if you're kind of splitting it charitably?
That's interesting. That's something I've discussed with my friend streamer recently. But I don't even remember the first charity stream I've done, but I've done quite a few. I'm actually doing one next month for GCX St. Jude's charity marathon, which I've done for the past 2 years, so third year. It's great. They raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's a week-long charity event. But yeah, I've done so many different charities, like Best Friends, Best Buddies, Trevor Project, just so many. And it's wonderful. I love being able to make that kind of impact it's not even like my money going in there, although I do normally donate, but it's like that I can facilitate that. It's really cool.
One of the things that you've done recently is to kind of diversify your revenue streams and expand your reach. You've started, as you mentioned, doing multi-streaming, where not only are you already, when you're live, managing so many different types of technology, but now you're managing completely different formats that are taking the same feed and filtering it through that. What kind of a learning curve was that, and how has that stretched what you're able to bring in?
Actually, surprisingly, once I figured out how to do it, I reached out to another streamer that was already multi-streaming and asked for advice. They just sent me like a video over. I just had to figure out how to add multiple stream outputs on my OBS so it would all become from one, source. I also needed to figure out how to do a vertical instead of a horizontal, and take that, because I do TikTok, Kick, YouTube, and Twitch right now. So obviously TikTok is
all
vertical.
at once.
Yes. TikTok, yeah. TikTok is vertical, so I had to install a separate plugin.
Yeah.
So I had to do 2 plugins, one for the multi-streaming with like Kick and YouTube, and then a plugin for the vertical plugin. So once you do the research and figure that out, it wasn't that bad. I also had to do another plugin actually to combine chats. And I think that has been very important to be able to multi-stream.
Oh, so now the chats you can do just one with all of them.
If it works, if it's working that day.
If we're learning in real time, people.
It's only one person that created this one plugin for the multi-chat and multi-activity feed. So I will say sometimes it's down.
Okay.
So in those instances, I have to scramble and pull out all these different chat boxes and just try and look at all of them. That's where that becomes nearly impossible, because luckily the other platforms aren't as grown as my Twitch. So they're not normally as active, but because of that, I might be missing the one comment that comes through. So the multi-chat box is nice. But yeah, having to juggle I will say, like, you know, Kick's a very different breed. Like, their viewership is so different from Twitch and YouTube and TikTok, right? So you have to balance all these different types of personalities, I suppose, right? It's been great because I will say I just hit Partner Plus on Twitch, which is fantastic. It's not an easy goal to hit, but now my split for subs is 70-30, as opposed to initially, like, anybody else is 50-50.
Okay. So
that's a significant jump in revenue split, which is fantastic. And on Kick, it's 95-5.
Oh, wow.
That's what's kind of
95
selling.
to the creator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why Kick is kind of a competitor with Twitch, right? Because that's such an incredible split. YouTube, I should just be about to be monetized on there, but I haven't been able to get subs yet.
Yeah.
But I think one month I made like $600 on Kick, and I had 900 followers or something. Very few viewers, but like some people just come in and are just really generous and nice. So if I hadn't been streaming simultaneously on Kick, would I have made that extra 600? No.
Exactly. So it's like, again, if we're thinking of any content creators, aspiring Twitch streamers that might be watching, it is truly see how much you can diversify, how many different channels you can get that into.
Yeah, it's really cool to diversify. I might be stretching thin, maybe. I mean, I just started multi-streaming in January.
How are you doing?
I think it's good, but I am not sure, like, how maybe the viewer sees. Because, right, so Kick people come in, they're like, who are you talking to?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm multi-streaming. Because I can't have, and I don't have all of the chats all in one on the screen for people to see. So they're like, what are you responding to? Are you talking to no one?
Yeah.
Like, no, I swear, go on Twitch. You can see I got people in there. So I think that might be like the biggest downfall, is that like people are confused what's going on sometimes in my conversations.
Yeah. And so going back a little bit, you mentioned that you just made Twitch Partner Plus. Congrats. Very exciting. I actually know how hard you guys were.
We had to push for it.
To give the audience a little bit more of a behind the scenes view, that was not immediate. You had to work for that. You had to put in a lot of hours. There's a certain timeline that you have to maintain it, right? In order to 3 months of achieving a certain benchmark.
Yeah.
But you also were one of the rarities in, I think, the Twitch space where you made partner pretty early on.
Very, very quickly. It was more luck because, well, I already had a social media following on other things, and I think that helped a lot. But I would say it was because somebody from my community was like, oh, I know people on Twitch, like, you need to be partnered, like, and just like pushed it through, essentially, which was very kind.
It's kind, but it's also, I think it's one of those things where you're at the table because you belong there. You've delivered for that community in a way. Like, this is truly your full-time job. This is your number one priority. And I see behind the scenes how hard you work. It's said that on platforms like Twitch, it can take 11 months for a new streamer to even hit like 50 followers. It's So with somebody that might be watching who is trying to scale their audience, first of all, in the efforts of reaching sustainable monetization, what are some tips or tricks you'd give them for achieving more reach? I know that raids are a huge feature within Twitch that actually help creator to creator. Yeah,
that does help a lot. That would be contingent on someone else raiding into said streamer. Which you can't really control, right? It's if they choose you, they choose you. But of course, you could write into other people and make friends, or just go into other people's streams and just be part of the community, but naturally never be pushy, never be like, hey, raid me, oh, check out my channel. That is the worst. That's like blacklist.
Okay.
Never self-promote.
Don't do that.
Don't self-promote.
Just go in and be a mod. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But I think for anyone who's just starting out, who hasn't even hit 50 follows, like, make sure when you're streaming, if you have 0 viewers, speak, fill the silence, make it entertaining, pretend like there's 100 people there, make it interesting, or else if people pop in just for 5 seconds and you're just sitting there zoning out, just playing your video game, like blank face, you're not going to grow. Like, that's the most important thing I think you could possibly do. But yeah, interacting with other channels and communities as well. I mean, I know in my community alone, so many of my community members go into other community members' streams and follow them and are in there constantly and whenever they go live. And I think that's so beautiful, one, that they've become friends and they love each other. But that's a way to grow too. So
yeah, and I will say I've seen that with your network. Not only did it organically happen that you met, and actually you've turned many of your friends into Twitch streamers that weren't already there, but you have this really amazing network of female streamers that you support IRL, as you say.
IRL.
And what I love about it is that everybody has their own hook, right? It's not like you're just showing up to play video games. You figure out what unique niche you have. We have friends that will bartend on Twitch and walk people through the like very nuanced histories and profiles of these liquors and these mixers and these recipes. And then we have people that are musicians like yourself that perform. How
people build Legos on there. My friend builds Legos.
And people love that?
Oh yeah, he's doing pretty good.
There you go.
You can do art on there.
So once
he's a great artist.
Thanks. Once you have started scaling, you've networked with your peers, you are collaborating. I know that one thing that you do really well is you have guests on that, draw in their own audiences, and you're also helping with their visibility.
Yeah, that's a great way to grow. 100%. The biggest streamers are constantly collaborating and streaming and gaming online with their other big streamers. Like, it's just a big streamer pot. But anyway, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
If somehow I got into play a video game with them, but I don't play those games, so it doesn't really work for me.
She doesn't play those games. So once they've built out their subscribers and they found their niche, they have their schedule. I know one of the big parts of your journey towards having it become sustainably monetized was the consistency, was showing up as if it was a 9-to-5. I've seen you do 40-hour weeks with stream. What is the maybe timeline that you'd recommend as a minimum for people that are trying to build? What is the momentum that's built by showing up consistently, maybe day over day?
Yeah, I think I'm bad at getting on at a specific time, but I'm pretty good at getting on at the right day. I wouldn't recommend being bad at getting on at the right time. Like, it's really important to have a schedule so everyone knows when they can expect you on, and like set aside time and be prepared. And so when you change that time, it throws people off a little bit. Yeah. So yeah, definitely setting. I stream Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturdays. I normally stream around like 10 p.m.
Yeah, she's a late night girly.
I need to get a little earlier than that for the people on the East Coast, but that's very important. The consistency, people know what to expect, and then you can have people show up more consistently as well, right? But yeah, I think the best time is your best time, really. Like, if you're not feeling it, if you're not awake, if you're not ready to go, like, what's the point? What's the point? So I think that's most important. But hey, go for it if you want to get up at 6 o'clock. That's just not for me.
Just with lots of coffee. And then also, I think one of the unique things about Twitch, because it is live, because it is community-based, is you also have the opportunity, once you start seeing people routinely showing up, asking them even, like, is there... You can definitely experiment with what's a better time, like within your own time, but like experiment what hits best. How, start at 3 versus 5 and see if that makes a difference in viewership. I mean, that's definitely a great idea to do if you're willing to put the time in to like figure it out. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yeah. Going back a little bit in like your journey to today, was there any particular moment, either in that, 1.0 Instagram Erica and Twitch Erica, was there a moment where you were like, I can do this for full time forever? What did that feel like, and what do you remember when that was?
I think for Twitch Erica, it sounds so weird. For Twitch Erica, honestly, it was probably when I first signed with my first like org queens.
Yeah.
I think it felt like people saw value in me that they want to back me in some capacity, in whatever capacity it is. They thought I can get brand deals. I can be a face of an org to some capacity. You know, like that was very rewarding. Although I was still an even smaller creator than I am now. I've grown since, but that made me feel like, okay, now like I can do, like I'm part of an org. Like that's not everyone's part of an org. It was pretty exciting.
And now you're part of a secondary org, a new org.
They absorbed Queens,
gotcha.
yes.
And it's I have two questions. I'm battling. Okay, one of my the first one is if people are, let's say again that they're still building, they're still getting to partner plus, etc. Is there a way for people to proactively approach orgs, or do orgs have to come to them?
I never tried to approach an org, but I think some orgs actually like do almost like open calls. I know my friend applied for her org, and I think she had to send in like a tape, maybe show, clips or, stats and stuff like that, of course. And she made it in because she's a badass.
Yeah, she is.
But yeah, so I think there's ways like that. I'm sure you could just straight up like email them and show interest, but some of them do have like, oh, we're looking or whatever. But generally, I think they would, once you get big enough, they might approach you.
Yeah.
For orgs, usually they're looking for like FPS streamers, frankly, like Apex, for esports.
First-person shooter.
Yes, first-person shooters like Apex, Call of Duty, Valorant, those types of things. So the org that I've been a part of is more like a lifestyle content creator with, and current one, with an esports aspect too. So esports teams that they also have. So that's nice because it's like everything involved.
Yeah. And the cool thing about once you get into one of these orgs is it's another iron in the fire. It's another revenue stream. And
they're working for you to get sponsorships.
Exactly.
Which is fantastic. So you're not alone. And then you have the backing of that org to give more legitimacy to yourself.
Absolutely. How much support do the orgs give when it comes to negotiation and making sure that you get paid what is fair and reasonable?
It depends on the org.
Yeah.
Of course, it depends on the org and how much staff and, resources they have. But generally for me, when I've gotten approached for sponsorships and stuff through my orgs, they just send me the information and the rate, and I get to decide if I want to do it, which is great. I don't have to speak or negotiate for myself, which is so easy. It's so much easier. Of course, the org takes a percentage. So as opposed to if I made these deals myself and I'd get 100% of it. So some brands like to work with orgs or agencies or managers, and some like to work directly with you. So that, varies.
And there was a time when you were negotiating those deals on your own before the orgs, right? Can you tell us what that was like how you knew what to look for and what types of stipulations needed to be in there to protect you?
I definitely look for like the terms that are like, oh, this is forever. We're going to use your
perpetuity,
image forever, perpetuity and everything. And just make sure that you know what you're signing on for, essentially, and that you're okay with what your duties and that you need to do for said activation. Like if they don't like outline it completely, make sure they extrapolate to you exactly what you need to do, because I've been also in types of situations where they add an extra thing and it wasn't written down or something, it wasn't written in the contract. I'm like, wait, but that wasn't part of our verbal confirmation, right?
Amazing. I have another question that is obviously Twitch especially, and some of these platforms in general are obviously pretty male dominated, and as an AAPI woman, you're unique, and it's luckily we're seeing, especially even with your orgs, we're seeing more women gamers, we're seeing more diversity in the ethnicities and things. But what has that experience been like for you in gaining your place? Did you ever feel that weird imposter syndrome that it seems so many women do?
Literally always. What do you mean?
Like we're like, wait, are we here right now?
Should I be here? I don't know if we should be here. I think it's a little bit less about being a female specifically, but since I don't do those like quintessential games as a gamer, but also a female gamer, I suppose. Like everyone always expects you to just be playing Stardew Valley, and I'm like, well, I do like Stardew Valley.
Stardew Valley?
Like, what's wrong with Stardew Valley? It's not a real game or something, you know? But it's so funny because I think like 46 or 48% of gamers are women.
Really?
Yes. And even if mobile gaming is gaming, like if you play Bejeweled or Candy Crush or something, you're technically a gamer. Okay, you're technically a gamer. And I think a lot of women try to pretend like they're not. But like that's fact. So 46 or 48%, I can't remember the statistic. And so we need to be seeing more. I am seeing more brands actually like look specifically for females in gaming. That's literally what my job is tomorrow. They're looking to work with more female gamers, and I think that's great. Obviously, there is difficulty finding a seat at the table for females in general, let alone AAPI or what have you. But that's opening up a lot. Like it's become so much more progressive in the gaming field and in the streaming field as well. So that's lovely. Of course, you get a lot of hate as a female streaming all the time, especially if, God forbid, I'm wearing anything that's not like a hoodie.
Yeah. If you look cute.
Even when I'm wearing a hoodie, you get just the most ridiculous comments sometimes in like disrespect. But
where the mods come in.
Yeah, mods, help me. So that is rough. You get a lot of that, but you have to kind of just get a tough skin on that. But yeah, being a female in gaming has, I feel like, never been better, honestly, because people are like, the fact that I'm part of an org that is literally for women, like to get women at a seat at the table is fantastic. And yeah, we're not there yet, but it's getting one step at a time. We're getting closer.
What is your favorite part about your work?
My favorite part? That's a tough
And has it
question.
changed since the beginning?
I think I still love being able to just like hang out with friends, community member friends. It's just fun to just be able to like sit there and chat and talk their ears off. I talk so much to them. My gosh, it reminds me of like every time I chat with them, it reminds me of this Futurama episode where Zoidberg is just like trying to court this other female crab, and he's like, she keeps talking about her day, and he's like. And Fry's like, it's okay, that's right, you're doing good, She's just like, well, I woke up and I had breakfast and then I did this, I brushed my hair. I was like, that's me on stream.
Yeah.
That must be boring.
No, you're not, because they're wrapped. They're like, they follow up on what your breakfast was. Like, they care. And that might even lend into when people are finding their voice and when they're finding their niche and when they're getting like their bearings to their brand, to their streaming. Like you said, find a way to just connect, find a way to just communicate, see what they're interested in. I really think if I were as an outsider that was not a Twitch streamer looking in, I think that advice I would give to anybody looking to do that from watching you is, like I said, get to like pay attention. Make sure that when you have people actively stopping their day to watch you live, and they're staying on for hours a lot of the time, sometimes they're on all night with you.
Yeah.
Be aware of that. And participate with them too, right?
Yeah, that's something that I think I do a lot more than some other streamers, and especially since I'm not a 1,000 viewer Andy or Betty, I forgot what they call it. Those big streamers literally can't. That's the problem. So here I am, where I'm able to catch as many comments as I can. I obviously it's impossible to get everything, but I do as best I can. I'm able to interact, and I think that creates the community so tight-knit that I'm able to talk to them. But of course, the bigger you grow, the less you can do that. So that's kind of a toss-up with growth and community. Like, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah. And when you're doing so much with Twitch, are you still feeding the other social channels, or is it kind of more of a mechanism to draw them towards your Twitch channel?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Obviously, utilizing every social media platform possible to grow your main source of income and revenue is so important, but it's very difficult because then you stretch yourself so thin. There's so many different platforms. There's so many different formats, like YouTube, all the shorts, all the vertical formats and everything. But that's very important. Like, I have found people that I follow on Twitch straight from their TikTok that I was like, oh, that's she's funny. Okay, I'm going to go follow her. Like, that's an incredible way of gaining followers. So that's something I need to be working a little bit harder on. Editing is difficult, so get yourself an editor if you can.
Yeah. See what you can outsource.
Yeah, outsource. Actually, one of my community members has been fantastic, and he's been cutting up some clips for me, which is nice. Definitely another advice for streamers is to try and get your community members to clip any clippable moments as much as possible.
Oh my gosh, the clips are so fun. I can't even tell you. They're wild. Keep going. I'm sorry.
We've got some good clips together. But yeah, the clips are important because otherwise, how are you supposed to like go back and watch 5, 10 hours, 30 hours of content and find for yourself these clippable moments and things that your community finds funny, you might not find funny. So there's that too. So that's really important. So make sure you have funny content too. That's easier said than done.
I want to know what's the moment in your journey as a content creator thus far that you're the most proud of?
Whew. I would probably say all those charity streams.
Yeah.
You know, the GCX one, all the ones we've done with Saving Innocents have been fantastic. I feel like they're the most like rewarding, right? I was also really proud to do my 24-hour straight stream.
Yeah.
By the last half hour, I thought I was going to die. It was so exhausting. But that was like one of those things. I was like, I have to once in my life say I did a 24-hour stream. So I was proud of that.
Was it a subiversary?
One of those,
Is that how you say it?
Subathon, streamiversary.
Streamiversary, subathon.
But yeah, just building my community. I'm just really proud of I built a community that I like. You know, there are so many toxic ones out there. So yeah, they're very supportive and lovely and wonderful. I love them.
We love them so much. Isn't that the Gen Z version?
I've been doing this, and then this. I'm like 3 hearts. That's only. Is there any more that you know of? Because I think that's it.
I'm so I'm 88 years old on the inside. I have no idea.
I'm
I'm finding out that socks are pretty controversial right now.
Yes, you got to have the higher socks now.
Oh boy,
or else you're old for real. I don't have the high socks.
An elder millennial. Oh boy.
Oh no. I knew I wanted to start doing music and gaming, which I thought would obviously grow my subs and give me different eyes on me than just gaming, right? So I think what was difficult was learning how to get a good sound stream.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
telling you, it's very technical.
I've struggled so hard with buzzing with my microphone, like you would not believe. But yeah, getting a mic like this, like a Shure SM7B, learning about audio interfaces or figuring out what I want, getting pedals, doing all these different things. And then the issue with DMCA has been a
Let's talk about that
too.
for a second. DMCA, that's such a big one. How did you even find that world and start to navigate it? Because you kind of mastered how to know what you can and can't use.
I have not.
Oh, okay.
At least not on YouTube. No, so
is it different per channel?
Well, let me explain. So Twitch started cracking down on the DMCA a while ago. So I changed from doing karaoke songs to playing my uke to accompany me. So I had to learn.
Oh yeah, she plays ukulele.
I had to learn how to play uke a little bit better to be able to accompany myself. But I was like, okay, let's not risk it. I don't want to get banned or anything. And then I transitioned. So all of my background music was DMCA free, copyright free music. And then since I've been streaming on YouTube, I do the same stuff, right? It's the same non-copyright music and covers. But I've definitely on Twitch a while ago, I got a strike for a cover for Halsey.
A strike
without
is
me.
Them noticing
that there's a copyright issue. And I'm like, what? It's a cover. And it should be under transformative, whatever it is. And I've never had a strike since. So I was like, that's weird. I was just playing ukulele and singing. There was no background track. There's nothing.
Yeah.
So that's an issue. And then on YouTube recently, I've been getting more and more flags. So they keep saying, oh, this video can't be monetized once I get monetized. It can't be monetized because yada, yada, yada. So last night's stream, I sang Stupid Cupid with my ukulele. And they said, oh, well, that's copyrighted by some Latin something, whatever. And I was like, what? Not Connie Francis? Who's Latin? What? And they'll even flag my BRB song, which is intentionally a DMCA-free song, but it sounds like another song. Yeah. And they flag that. So I don't know where YouTube stands with this. And my options for YouTube specifically are to delete the VOD or edit it out, mute it, or refute the copyright claim and say that I have rights to it, which I don't. So So apparently all of my videos are going to not be monetized. Like
All of them?
all the ones that they keep flagging. It's just frustrating because navigating copyright is confusing, and I feel like it's constantly kind of changing the rules, especially on Twitch. So it's overwhelming, but it's something that you just constantly have to be aware of and think about.
You keep giving me questions. Do we have a little bit more time on this one? I think maybe we might.
We're at 54.
Oh, perfect. Huzzah. We have a little bit of time left.
Huzzah!
I say that so much.
She loves huzzah.
Oh, shout out to the great and to my sister. Are there any last key action items or takeaways that you'd give to the audience member that's watching and is looking to really start creating content that can make them some money?
Well, I think one, make sure you're making content that you enjoy, and making sure you're enjoying what you're doing. Because again, people can tell when you're not. They can tell when you're dragging your feet. Although sometimes I drag my feet to get on stream, but they can tell when you're not having a good time, and I think that's not going to be lucrative for anyone, frankly, or no one's going to enjoy that. Like I said, just do it.
Just do it.
I think that's something that I would have that helped me get in gear and start streaming. As my friend just said, just grab this, I'll lend you this, just go. And if I had waited, I probably wouldn't have ever have started streaming if she hadn't told me that, frankly.
Yeah.
Or it would have been years.
Is there a minimum type of technology required? Can you just, because you've done IRL streams on your phone.
Yeah, I've streamed from my phone before, yes.
So people can, with a smartphone and a Twitch
when
account.
when my internet's gone out, I've just popped my phone up and just streamed in the dark or something. Or
the encouragement that I know when I'm not a gamer, I get very stressed out. I used to always have my brother fight the bosses in any of the Donkey Kongs
actually
or whatever
my
it is.
sister was older, so I did the same thing.
The anxiety was real, right? But I know that when your community has tried to encourage me to start streaming, I'm like, the silly games. What is it? Super Smash Brothers.
Smash. Yeah, you beat me at that.
I know. I do Kirby.
I just do button mashing, so it's just, I don't know.
Last question. Okay. What does the future look like for you? What's on the horizon for you? Where are people going to be able to find you?
Well, I'm going to continue streaming on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, and I might switch over to Instagram instead of TikTok. I don't know if TikTok's not a big platform for myself, and Instagram's bigger. So I'm considering that. But I've enjoying that. Growing all of those platforms has been really fun. I'm excited to hopefully do a lot more YouTube videos in general. I am dragging my feet editing some of my vlogs that I've done from, 2 years ago. I went to Japan with my dad, and I'm only halfway through the video, content.
Yeah, because that's
Editing
one of
is
the
difficult.
that's one of the lesser discussed elements. People like to, I think people in the OG world, the corporate world, or the ones that have more traditional trajectories to their career, there's this assumption that content creation is super lightweight earning, and that you can just shoot a video, upload it, and start making money. And every content creator that has tried to can tell you that that's absolutely not the case. But it's so much work a lot of the time, and there is a lot of burnout that comes with it, right?
Yes.
Have you dealt with burnout?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I know any, at least streamer, that has not dealt with burnout. It's mentally kind of taxing on your psyche and stuff to constantly have to show up and be very, very on and try and be entertaining and try and pander to your community and take care of them, right? It's a lot. It's a lot of work.
How have you gotten past burnout in the past?
Oftentimes just taking a break, that's what most people do, is just take a week off or 2 weeks off, maybe take a vacation, kind of get out of the streaming zone or the social media zone and kind of just get grounded.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just loved having you here. Thank you so
I love
much.
being here. I love you.
Thank you guys for tuning in to yet another episode of For Creators by Creators. We are just here to make sure that more of you, more of us are able to dedicate the time we want to this art form, whatever that looks like, but getting paid, getting protected. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, and we will be back again soon. Thank you, Erica. All right, we'll see you on Twitch.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Wow.